Drum roll.
Well, I'm Bart Rademacher, and this is Transformational Art at Burning Man. So excited to be back on this platform after coming back from Burn 2019. And what a blast! What an amazing experience. This has been my third burn. And every single time, it's just a further expansion. And what I was so excited about this year is the expansion of this whole interview process of interviewing all these amazing individuals who have such a wonderful gift and so many wonderful things to share with us so that we can simply expand our lives. I mean, that's the whole point, I guess, of Burning Man, right? Is letting go of the stuff that really doesn't serve us and burning that, in essence, and then opening our minds and our hearts and working with the communities and creating this collaborative space where, and what I call a generative space, where so much more is possible. And as I reflect my own personal experience, and that's really relevant today, and so excited to be talking to Laura Barnard from Muuv Bikes, or the Muuv Camp, because for me, I'm a little bit on the older side, and so realizing that the play is kind of large, and I was so fortunate to connect with her and acquire a bike that had a motor on it. And it allowed me to see so much more and experience so much more of the whole experience of Burning Man. And so for today, really want to share some of her flashbacks of her experiences and what Burning Man means to her, because this is what this process is all about: is tapping into the wonderful experiences of as many burners as I can, particularly the artists. And Laura is one of those artists, because she creates an art for us to play with, so we can really really experience Burning Man at the best. So Laura, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much. Oh my gosh, now I feel like so inflated. I've never been called an artist.
Well, you are.
A cyclist, a triathlete, an executive, a mom, a tomboy, an athlete, but now I'm like, woohoo! I am an artist. So thank you for making my day.
Well, it is, because the art of bringing in this transportation facility for all of us. I mean, there's a lot of art in making all of that happen. And you and I have talked about this, and you've had some incredible, interesting challenges and growing pains, but you persevere, and against all odds, really. And I love every time that I hear you talking about this, is that this is your gift, for us, and certainly was a major gift for me to experience this transportation device called the Muuv bike, the e-bike, or whatever you want to call it. And I know that you've done that for so many people, and it's wonderful and refreshing to hear how motivated and inspired you are to help as many burners as you can to have that same experience.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was talking to someone yesterday because everyone that we get the opportunity to talk to throughout the process, whether at Burning Man, the community around Burning Man, before, after, I mean, we are up in the Reno, Gerlach, Nixon, Empire area, broader area, all the way from where Southern Cal, where our bikes come in from Asia, all the way up through, whether we go the west side, the east side of the Sierras, we get the gift of meeting so many people. And every year I'm learning something new about me, new about the bikes, new about our community, people that I meet. So we really call ourselves, it's very different. We're not a bike company. If people come to pick their bikes up, or they call and they have challenges, or we have challenges with something, and we're not a bike company, we're a family. And we call ourselves the MUUV tribe. It's kind of evolved over the last several years. Because in a lot of ways, what's so cool on the playa is it's filled with hundreds of camps, and hundreds, even if it's just a group of people or a couple or an individual creating their own camp, up to camps that are very large. And they each have their own theme, and they eat, but what they're all required to give something. And even individuals, that's the part, that's what's so cool. I grew up in a family, fifth generation Atlanta. I've lived all around the US, and which has been amazing. But I was taught throughout my life philanthropy and giving, and that's just some of the highlights of my life, has been able to use my skill, my time, my talent to give back. And there's something called tikkun olam. I was raised Jewish, and it's all about making the world a better place. Mm-hmm. So what I feel is, and I'm just a nerdy financial person and mom of four, and athlete that loves bikes, just a bike geek. You know, I get on our bikes and I'm like, man, I really wish the geometry was this, or we really don't need this, or we really need to cover up the chain, because when people wear these amazing coats, like this wonderful Tony the Tiger coat that I got
Love it.
last year, because of Burning Man, like you said, I love that concept of you're able to, I never heard that before, thought about that you're able to kind of take the things that are holding you back in life, and you're able to burn them, whether it happens during the temple burn and the man burn, or just virtually. You're able to open up and just be a kid again, you know, and just let yourself go. And I think that if we in some way, as I was telling you earlier, most of our customers can very easily get a regular cruiser and go across the 7 square miles of the playa, and 15 square miles of the extended from gate to gate, from back gate, from deep playa to front gate to back gate. It's 15 square miles, even though most people are within 7. And if you really looked at it, most people only stay within a small area because it's hot, it's dusty, they're tired, fatigued from just taking care of themselves and giving back to others. And so by giving someone the ability to hop atop a MUUV bike, I can't say that 100% every day. The playa is tough on us as individuals, and it's tough on technology. It's tough on batteries, it's tough on wheels, it's tough on, tires, but you get atop your MUUV bike and you have the ability to explore. So we have our little code is let's move and explore together. And what we hope to do is connect people, allow them to open up and explore the world. And if we can do that by opening the gateway to making it easier, because we always say, let's move and explore with ease. But you're gonna face obstacles no matter what. The conditions are harsh in this dusty area. It's amazing how popular this is, but it's also life transformative. And so I've heard people, which I feel so good, is I hear some of our customers come back and say, my gosh, it's my 5th burn or my 10th burn, and I finally got an e-bike and it transformed my burn. I got to see so many more art installations. I got to go to so many more. So I always say, when I talk to someone, because it is an investment, I always say, the question is, do you want to expend the energy to get to the different camps and get a massage, or go rock climbing, or go skydiving, or whatever you may, or dance atop an art car? Or do you want to give something back to yourself and keep that energy to expend when you go to yoga in the morning, or whatever you decide to do?
You're so on point with that, because the first thing I want to reiterate what you said earlier was just being a kid again, and it's such a wonderful place to go and play and see all the different awesome things out there that really tickle your imagination, tickle the creativity inside of you, but also the playful side of you. And then just seeing people just dressed in all sorts of different ways, and dressed up, dressed down, whatever. and just realizing, wow, I can do that too. I can be anybody that I want to be. I can do anything that I want, within constraints, of course, and just have fun. And
Right.
one of my missions, on this burn, is to really get a sense of the magic of the art and the story behind the art. And so I really wanted to capture as much of the projects as well as the art cars. Next year it's going to be more about camps too, I think, because there's
Yeah.
such a beautiful story behind everything. There's such a beautiful story behind yours, and which I want to hear more about, by the way. But what your e-bike allowed me to do is I was there like on Friday. So Friday and Saturday, I just zipped all over the place as fast as I could and captured as much art as I could. And I swear, you know, by end of Saturday, I thought I captured about 80%. And so I was tickled pink. I was really happy. Only to find out throughout the week that steadily dropped because people kept on adding things,
Bringing art. Yeah.
bringing art. So I realized, oh no, I don't have as
Yeah.
much as I wanted, because my outcome was to have at least 75, 80%. I think it's a little less than that now. But because I had the e-bike, it really allowed me to capture all that, and I'm displaying that on this page. But what's more important, and I really enjoyed what you were saying to me earlier on, is your whole concept of connecting people. And when you, so but to connect, it requires mobility, and we're losing so much of the connections in our daily lives. And so, talk to me about, your sense of the need, the power, the importance of connecting, because
Yeah.
that's a beautiful thing about Burning Man.
Yeah. I'm going to go back to one thing that you mentioned, and then we'll talk about connecting. So, your aspect of having a fun and being a kid again and doing what you want is somehow in the Burning Man's kind of this altered universe. And so, there's this freedom of free will and open spirit and uh, just being you, being playful. There's nothing wrong with being playful. Corporate, like a lot of new, I love the culture of the millennials because a lot of my kids are 16, 18, 22, and 24. And they want that at work, right? They want work to be fun. They want to grow. They want to financially benefit from work and provide their skill sets, but they want to have fun. My daughter works in a marketing agency. They allow dogs and cats.
Wow.
They have in the summer, they have half day Fridays in the summer. And it's just, allows her and her boyfriend to go and do things on the weekend. So I love the work. We have had such an intense work ethic. I grew up with an intense work ethic and expectation. You brought A's home and that's what you did. You went to high school, you went to college, you went to grad school, you tried to be the best you could, which we all want to be, but there's a lot of pressure. And so it's nice. I think that this millennial generation, there's a lot of incredible, wonderful features about these young adults that I think are going to make the world, make corporate business even better and socially responsible. So anyway, going back to connecting, I just love the characters that you meet. And I'm kind of a character and a little entertaining, but I'm like a nerd too. I'm not totally wild, but I kind of, like I mentioned earlier, I have a hat fetish. So I love this hat. And I probably wear a different hat every day, unless it's like one of my favorites. I connect with artists that are outside. There's a whole community within miles of Burning Man on the way up and out, and on the way back into Reno or South Lake Tahoe or San Francisco or LA or wherever you're going, Salt Lake City, Phoenix. And there's just so many jewels and people and stories. And so that people, I believe that there's a lot of people in this world that could be, I don't want to say unhappy, but they could be so much happier if they only had the opportunity to meet that next person in their life, or make that their someone in their life they care about smile. And so, and today, in today's world, just like we're talking on a video conference, we're not in the same city, we're doing this online. These devices are helping us connect. And a lot of people are like, oh, I don't want to meet someone online and all of this. But we created an app which hasn't gone live yet. It's called LetsMUUV. It's all about let's moving together. It's a friendship connection engine. Maybe one day it'll have thousands and millions of people. Maybe it'll have one or two. But to me, what's important is more about, and going back to Burning Man, is we never necessarily intended to we created the Muuv platform to address the inactivity crisis. And that included Muuv Bikes, it included the app LetsMUUV, it included an adventure travel company, it now includes a small strategic consulting company to help businesses continue to move forward. But the app is now, I'm really excited because we have about 500 people across the globe in our Muuv tribe. And there are people over the years that we have met and have been on atop a Muuv bike or have interfaced with us. And they're amazing individuals, all with their own stories, from people that, like one of my good friends was in Nepal this year studying meditation and healing and didn't come, but her husband came. They've been a customer for a few years, and they're amazing, lovely, lovely couple. And then there's other people that are there's a guy who's founded a camp, and he's an anesthesiologist and acupuncturist in New York, and they created a healing tent this year and had massage and meditation and IV drips and various things. But going back around connection and giving, there's something that is removed when you enter. It's not even just the playa. It's more around getting ready to go to the playa, like the pre-party, the afterburn, the decompression, the community, that like you're part of this. It's an alter universe. It's like going to Mars or something. You know, if you know someone that knew someone that went to Burning Man, it's like a cool LinkedIn community. Right. So if our app can connect these people, and maybe they can meet each other and help each other in some way or another, or make each other's day, or open a gateway, both on the playa and off the playa, then we've done something that to me is meaningful.
It's interesting you bring that up, creating this community, because that's exactly what Burning Man is. That's a huge community of similar values, and interesting enough, in spite of the similarity of values, they're also polar opposite. Characters and people and lifestyles, and but we're in the same community. It's like, wow, how's that even possible? And so for me, that's refreshing again, because that shows that as humanity, how we can really collaborate in such a wonderful way. But it requires a community. And what I find is that we have to find some sort of structure to create these communities outside of Burning Man. And interesting enough, I was talking to a government official at Burning Man, and that's one of the cool things about Burning Man that I'm not so sure people really realize. And that is the creation of communities basically out of thin air, so that people can really become even more connected, especially in this day and age where that is so disenfranchised. I mean, people are just so separated. Even though technology is allowing us to be even more connected, we're actually even more disconnected. And so creating this community of people, I think, is absolutely brilliant, and I applaud you for doing that. And particularly because if it's a burner tribe, it's even more fun.
That's true. But it's fun. What's fun is just being able to park the technology away and park the wallets away, and you don't know the next person that you run into, whether they are a billionaire, have 2 cents in their pocket, are a doctor or a writer or a musician. And I'm kind of a goof. I not really good with who's famous and who's not. I mean, just people are people, and it's kind of like be present and meet the person and get to know them and see what's in here. And then I'm very much about mental stimulation and conversations and exploration. And I mean, it's definitely open my mind up. I may not agree. I may not want to participate in some of the things going on in various places, but I don't have any judgment about it. I can't control, and shouldn't place my control on other people. In my opinion, the way I live my life is people have to make their own decisions. If they want my advice and they want my feedback, then I'm happy to share it. And we may have to agree to disagree, but to create a platform and an environment where you can have that open exchange, you can wear, furry vests that are, I'm
Right.
gonna switch to my favorite vest from this year, which was created by an artist, which was in Gerlach at the Barstow Bazaar, and a guy named Cameron who stayed up all night stitching the extra glow in the dark thread around the feathers on the back. But you can walk around like this and nobody, and it's so funny because so I wore this. I didn't wear the hat, right? I had, I think, a baseball hat or something like that. I was coming back from Burning Man and going through Baltimore, and I had some business there to take care of. And I was going to, I think I landed in Baltimore and then went on to New York City because I had a meeting in New York City. So it was just a pass through the airport.
Right.
And the people, they look at you, and like even on the plane, like on Delta, they're kind of like, that's a character. But half the plane was from Burning Man. So at least you feel accepted, because otherwise you feel like you better take this hat and the fur off because people think you're some crazy lunatic.
Right.
So it's just really nice to be able to, again, going back to connecting and be playful and be open-minded and non-judgmental and have that space. And you think about how much, if we could somehow take pieces of that and open that up into communities and corporations and families, how much of creativity are we like squashing because we're not allowing people to really be all that they can be.
Yep. I totally agree 100%. And that's, I'm one of those people that I don't think inside or outside a box. For me, there isn't a box.
Yeah.
And so I delight in the magic. Again, I always bring it up, the magic of the diversity of what we get to experience at Burning Man, because it just simply expands my horizons, my imagination, and I don't need any drugs for that either. It's just that all the lights, all the people, and all the art, it does that for me, and that's what's so wonderful, and that's been my experience.
I think that's actually a similar that you mentioned that, because everybody thinks Woodstock and they think sex, drugs, rock and roll. Yes, there's amazing art. And we'll say in a 7 square mile area, I don't think there's anywhere in the world, there's incredible museums and things like that in the world, but the artistry out there and the amount of hours and times and time and investment, it's just amazing. And at night when it's lit up and you're outside under the stars and under a full moon or half moon, it really is amazing. But it's a very tough place, right? It's dusty, there's whiteouts, it's 100-degree heat during the day. You're living in an RV or a shift pod or a yurt, with or without air conditioning. You're trying to, whether it's an e-bike or a regular bike, and you have a flat tire, and now I know because I was outside of Burning Man this year. I didn't even go on the fire this year because we really wanted to kind of transform Muuv Bikes and try some new things and see if we could even enhance our service. And I was putting in 18 to 20-hour days, then sleeping either in a toy haul trailer with or without AC, and sleeping outside the Empire Store on a couch when everybody brought their bikes back. Right. So people, and I'm just a microcosm. I'm not trying to pat myself on the back in any stretch of the imagination, but the amount of time that's gifted to, there's one of my most important people in my life, my daughter just walked. Hey, sweetie. The amount of gifting and time and investment that is put in to create the camps, create the art, and then figure out how to get it there, right? You're not going to San Francisco or LA.
Something very relevant, and I'm glad you brought that up, because part of what I want to capture with my interview series, and which is so wonderful, why I'm talking to you as well, is really capturing the background of what it takes to make Burning Man happen. And I say that because as a burner, it really gives it a lot more meaning. There are so many amazing individuals and volunteers and people, directing traffic for hours and hours in the sun. And I remember when I arrived at the gate, and there's this poor girl, and she's looked totally dehydrated, trying to direct traffic. It says, "Hey, look, how much water do you want?" And I just gave her
Yeah.
some water because,
Yeah.
and people seem to forget that. And so my desire, my hope, is to share the beautiful stories behind the scenes, so that as new burners come along, or just older burners, really begin to appreciate the magnitude of the energy and the gifting that happens, so that even inspires us even more so to do the same thing in return, and really taking in that sense of this is a community working together, and we can
Right.
all work together even more so.
Yeah.
And there may be times when that's going to be necessary, and this experience what allows to magnify on that. And so, but one thing I did want to ask you, and because you mentioned you were outside of the playa, share us a little bit that story about what it was like in Empire and wherever else you were.
Yeah. So like I mentioned, I probably spent 60 to 80 days up and around the front between Reno, Southern Cal to some extent, but mostly between Reno, Nixon, Wadsworth, Nixon, Fernley, Gerlach, the Playa, and north of the Playa, because we're affiliated with a ranch north of the Playa as well, where we store bikes, and we've had the benefit and honor to meet the people and learn about the stories but behind Bruno's, who has passed away, but Bruno's Country Club, and which is an amazing little restaurant right there in Gerlach, and Miners Club, which is an amazing little coffee house that Lacey owns. And this woman Karen I met this year is the third generation from Joe's, and apparently Joe and Bruno were brothers, which most people don't know. So there's so many like little jewels, just like you learn on the playa about the camps and about the people and about the artists. Everybody has their story. And so do all of the people and the artists that do apparel or lights or other types of things that would be wonderful to bring into Burning Man, or the food trucks, the people from the food trucks that are in Empire. There's a guy named Kwong who's traveled the world, hiked the world, studied cooking, and went to culinary school, opened a couple Asian restaurants in San Francisco. He's retired. He lives in Nevada City. And I just talked to him this morning or last night and about how he did. And this is his fourth year, my fourth year too. And he was at the Empire store. His little food truck is called Asia, and it has pork buns and Thai wraps and Indian fare and Thai iced tea and incredible spring rolls. And then he brings an incredible team. They work so well together, and just watching him and watching the team. But he told me, Laura, this is my sabbatical. You know, I mostly do philanthropic work all year, and I like to cook, and I have this little food truck. He doesn't take it around to other festivals. He just goes to Burning Man, and it's his little sabbatical. And I'm like, and he was like, it's been really quiet this year. It hasn't been as busy as in the past. And he told me that like a week ago or so when we were up there, a week and a half ago. And I'm like, how'd it go? He's like, because he just said, it's the best year yet. It was great. And he's like, Laura, I don't even know. But it was the best, because it's not about that. So I like that, and can't say it'll always be like that. But because there is a huge economic impact. If you talk to the people in Reno, there's a huge economic impact, which is wonderful. Probably in any big convention or big.
Well, it's a $50 million impact, apparently.
Yeah, I heard it was $250 million impact in the greater area between Burning Man and Reno, and the greater area, flights and hotels and tickets, and that it is a huge economic positive impact. And for some of these communities, going back to Empire and Fernley and Gerlach, I won't say who this is, but either one of the restaurants, the Empire store, it's third to half of their revenue for the year. But the people are working 18 and 20-hour days. Like, a lot of people don't see that when they just come through and back. But they're working tirelessly to, like, I went and did a Costco run for the owner, Dana, from Empire Store one day, because it was, and it's not, we're talking about how far away, it's a 6-hour trip going back without traffic, going back and forth to Reno to get supplemental supplies for the store that aren't delivered by Coca-Cola or Pepsi or Lay's potato chips, So.
Well, that's awesome. And again, I think it's important for all of us to appreciate the magnitude of Burning Man. And one thing I'll share with you as well, and everybody who's listening, the importance of Burning Man too goes way beyond our personal experience. But there's so many disaster areas in the world,
Yeah.
so many catastrophes. And Burning Man is actually functioning as a model how to structure and how to build a city, overnight essentially, with all the infrastructure issues and everything else, so that people can get mobilized to support an area that's undergone some major disaster. And when you think about it, 70,000 people, and all the infrastructure aspects and pieces that come to play. And so I know there's a lot of different institutions who come to Burning Man to look at how it's all set up. And so as a phenomenon, and I really like to think of Burning Man not as an event, but as a phenomenon in so many different ways, and the impact that it has is just absolutely enormous. And so
It is really cool when because I have the gift I've had as an entrepreneur, and I'm kind of on a tipping point of my own entrepreneurial dreams, and I have this quote called "Dream, Believe, Achieve," but they all have to be fueled, and so like we all do. And so I'm kind of on a tipping point between continuing some of the entrepreneurial ventures, as well as other ventures that I'm looking at building with some other amazing people, as well as going back into a corporate executive position. And but what I've had the gift in the last several years is I do spend a lot of time. And so I was amazed this year because I was out west doing some work. And so probably almost every weekend for the 6 weeks, usually I do a week to 10-day trip, like in May or June, prepping and tuning and making sure the bikes are working and getting everything ready and supplies. But then I was there almost every weekend for 3-day weekends leading up. I was there during 4th of July, which is about 4,000 people go on or 8,000 people go on the playa for 4th of July. And some people bring their art installations and art cars to test. And some of the camps are doing some free work. And there's a lot of local people. And you don't use bikes, you use trucks. And camps have to be a half a mile away from each other because it's not an event. It doesn't cost anything. It's just people going out to the Black Rock Desert. But what was amazing is there was nothing that was actually being created yet on 4th of July, right? And even in the beginning of 4th of August, like the beginning, well, maybe by the 4th of August, but it's about 3 weeks before that you have the DPW, Department of Public Works, the Bureau of Land Management, Burning Man org, they ascend, and it's not as many people as you would think, and they are creating this. There is a YouTube video, I think, that you can look at that you look at like a time lapse kind of thing, or speed up time to see the creation of the playa. And the same thing goes for Nixon, the festival there, and for Empire, the festival there, and for Gerlach, the festival in Gerlach. And it's definitely something that you think about, buildings that are built and companies that are built. But basically, I think it's because everybody has a common goal again, and they're all working together.
Right.
And supporting each other.
Yeah, I think it's just a wonderful thing that gets to happen. So, so thank you for that. As we wrap it up, and really appreciate you and how you help people transform their lives. I mean, this is transformational art at Burning Man. So yes, you are an artist because you overcome so many amazing obstacles to create something out of nothing, in essence, so that we can enjoy the art at Burning Man. So I'd like to give you the last word for today, and as I thank you as well.
Sure. I will do a little bit of going back to Muuv Bikes, just because the gift keeps giving. So the opportunity that we have is that the people that utilize our bikes on the playa, these bikes are now available to people. We gift some to the local fire department and the vets that were at the gas station in Empire, and we gift them to the Washoe County Police. So we gift some of the bikes because that's just who I am and who we are. But we also have these bikes that are now available even below our cost, that will be available to people throughout the year. And because we believe that it's better for our Muuv Tribe family to get atop a brand new bike and have the conditions that are already harsh between the dust and the sun on those lithium batteries, that we try to do as much as we can to have new bikes. That's just our philosophy. Everybody's different. But what we've found over time is that the experience of that person and their ability to get from point A to point B without a lot of headache, it works. So that's kind of our model. We'd love to share that. You know, if we do have a website, our app is going live within our community, and we hope people can connect with one another. I appreciate you giving me the chance to feel like an artist, make me smile, and be a little silly and playful. But it's a wonderful. I would say the last thing that's kind of in my heart is there's nothing better than our Muuv Bikes. And I know it's a little microcosm. It's just 500 of 80,000, and even more because it's over a period of years. We had, I think, served about 250 this year. Each one of our family members through Muuv Bikes is so amazing. And I'm sure that's how it is across the playa. So if you have never been, look at going to Burning Man, but be ready for a journey. And it's not just a party. It's a transformational journey.
It really is. And with those words on transformation, Laura, thank you so much. And you know, I'm glad to be back on this platform. Obviously, couldn't do any interviews live at Burning Man, but fortunately was able to capture some of the artists. But next year I've got my strategy in place where I'll be able to get a lot more of the artists on the playa itself, because I think that's a beautiful thing. And in fact, I was supposed to interview you beforehand as well, but I think I kind of, you know, flew through Empire and straight to the gate so I could get in, and therefore I missed you. But Laura, I want to thank.
Next year. We have a date: Empire, Fernley, Gerlach, Nixon.
Yeah, yes, we do, because next year I'm going to be there way in advance. I'm going to hang out, you know, with the artists in advance, and it'll be a blast.
I'll be happy to introduce you to people.
Thank you so
Thanks
much.
so much. Okay.
All right, Laura, take care.